Hi guys, welcome to the channel. This is for the Israelites that spread all over the world. This is to gain knowledge and understanding from where you're from and where you're going. So if you like the contents of the videos, subscribe and just sit back and enjoy.
Hey, good to see you.
Good morning, Dave. Good morning, brothers. How are you? I apologize for being tardy. However, Brother Hank did not send me any link. I checked earlier this morning. There wasn't a link or anything letting me know what the subject matter would be or anything. But I'm pleased to be here. Y'all blessed. Good morning, brothers. Good to be here with you.
Yeah, it's an honor to be on the same sort of platform as you, because I've
Yes, sir. Likewise.
Been watching you for a long time.
Thank you, sir. Well, fellas, I'm all ears. I'm listening.
So, Henry, what's the game?
No, we just having just to find out where we go from here.
All right. Because let me ask. Okay. So where do you think we are? This is to you, Lee. Where do you think we are right now? You know, if you're thumbing through the book, you know, where do you think actually we are? Because I've just said where I think we are.
And I hate that I missed that. Currently, there's so many things happening, and there's a whole lot of confusion going on throughout the earth. Presently, the dust up that we're seeing in the Holy Land, that can have all types of implications. However, we have seen these dust ups before. So this can be a case where they may bring forth some type of agreement and everything goes back to the status quo. Or it could be, this could be the running out of those people out of that land. So we don't know exactly how this thing can go. We have seen it before, so we cannot say, okay, this is the final straw. So we are to bear witness, so says the Most High, to his word, but we will just have to wait and see.
Mm-hmm. So what you missed was my view was that we right now are in Genesis 15:14.
Okay.
The verse that people don't really talk about. It says, and that nation I shall judge, and afterwards you shall come out with great substance. Okay. So literally what we're seeing, you know, prior to a worldwide exodus is a worldwide judgment where that nation's being judged right now. And who's that? Oh,
that's me. That's me. Okay,
I'm whistling now.
No, that's wait 1 second. I'm on both gadgets.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So there's. Oh, I'm still hearing myself. Headphones, Henry.
Yeah. Okay, that's better.
Hang on. Yeah, it's better. Cool.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I was saying is that yes, before worldwide exodus, we're seeing a worldwide judgment, and I was saying that it can't be coincidental that the one demographic that is not taking the vaccine generally around the world are us, and again, it's not coincidental that the most vaccinated country in the world is Israel. So what's going to happen in a few months when that vaccine starts kicking in and people start falling off the earth? You know, the rest of the people there are either going to take the vaccine in fear and then start falling off themselves, or they're going to get the hell out of there. Either way, that land's going to be empty, you know. And the other little thing that just popped into my head is that the narrative, ever since this COVID stuff began, has been shifting very slowly to saying that black people are the plague carriers. Yeah, they were saying that black people are, well, in England, they were saying, oh, they're 3 times more likely to get COVID. No, now they're 4 times more likely to get COVID, you know. So it's been shifting, you know, very slowly to saying that we are the plague carriers. So I think that plays into what's going to happen as far as the Exodus is concerned. You know, if we're the plague carriers and everyone's dropping around us because we're not taking the vaccine, you know, well, I'm betting that at some point they're going to say, "Get the hell out of here! Go on, go to Africa." You know.
Yeah.
That's it.
So, anyone else got a view of how this is going to go down?
Okay, yeah, the brother wasn't on when I pointed my view out, so I'll just kind of go over it again briefly. But the way I was seeing it is that it was going to be a process that we were going to come out in waves, and I usually reference Ezekiel. Hold on, give me a second. Okay, so I was in reference of Ezekiel chapter 16, where the Most High is talking about the inhabitants of Jerusalem. He's kind of getting on our case. And the reason why I say our case, because in that prophecy, it was mentioned that Jerusalem, the inhabitants, you know, the house of David, house of Levi, Benjamin, the remnant of Levi, the remnant of Levi, Benjamin, house of David, and the remnant of Yahudah, Judah. They were supposed to be brought back after the tents of Judah was saved first, according to Zechariah 12, verse 7. So in that chapter, Ezekiel chapter 16 talks about three sisters. He talks about the first Sodom, which he mentions as Sodom and her daughters. And according to my understanding, I reference that as the inhabitants of Judah who have been brought back as of 1969. And the reason why they were referenced as Sodom and her daughters, because you can see the pedophilia, the child molestation that was going on in our land and how they fulfilled that prophecy of being sodomites, also homosexuality, all types of things going on. So the Most High said that he was going to return them first to their former estates. And by former estates, he was going to return them back to their former cities. And when you go to Joshua chapter 15 and you look at the cities of Judah, you will see Ramon, you will see Mizpeh, Ramon, and also Arah. So they returned to their former estate. Now that was just the first wave, you know, like he said, he was going to save the tents of Judah first, that way the inhabitants.
I think he's frozen.
It's frozen. It's
Yeah, maybe.
frozen.
Technical difficulties.
He may be frozen.
Oh, no, you froze for a while.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so I was just talking about how he was going to save the tents of Judah first, and how, and according to Ezekiel 16, the first sister that was to be brought back to their former estate, meaning going back to their former cities, which is the Mona, Mizpeh, Arad. They also go somewhere in Absalom as well as Beersheba. All these places is where they return back. Just a small remnant, though. Remember, he said a remnant will return of these three sisters before that last gathering. You know, before he gathers all us from all four corners of the earth. But so they returned to their former state as far as 1969. You had another wave that came out in 1970, and then the last wave came in 1978. And then that's when Ben-Ami made the agreement with the Israeli government that he was going to no longer bring so-called African Americans back into the land. Because when they first got there, they wasn't getting any government help, no government assistance. So they were kind of protesting against that. And Ben-Ami's way of getting those government subsidies was to make an agreement that he was going to no longer bring any more so-called African Americans back to the Village of Peace, which they call it their village in Dimona.
Right.
The second wave, I don't know if you're familiar with, there's a people that came out of Ethiopia that's known as Beta Israel. So I look at that as the second wave as Samaria and her daughters, which is the small remnant of the tribe of Ephraim and Manasseh. And they returned in 1984. And the way they came out, there was a drought that jumped off in 1984, and they began to walk back to the land of Israel, Sudan, and then the Most High, like he said he was going to do, he was going to work through other nations or even through our oppressors to bring them back, and that's what he did. In 1984, I think it was about 14,000 came back from out of northeast Ethiopia. They came back with the understanding that they were Israelites. They understood Torah. They were practicing Torah for many, many years while they were in the land of Ethiopia. And they also, as well as the Ethiopians, knew that they weren't Cushites. They developed a term called Phalasha, which means stranger.
Stranger, yeah.
Yes. So even the Ethiopian Cushites understood that these people weren't Cushites. They weren't the same people, and they understood that they were of the seed of Israel. So that was the second wave that returned back in 1984. Also, like it fulfills prophecy in Ezekiel chapter 16, they returned to their former estate, which is the West Bank. Ramallah, up in the northern area, which is the inhabitants of Ephraim. Then you had another wave of them that came back in 1991, which is those two operations. The first operation was known as Operation Moses. The second operation was known as Operation Solomon. And these were waves that came back into the land. So the third and final, before the great gathering all over the earth, was going to be the Jerusalem Zion movement. And this is what I'm witnessing now. You get a lot of brothers and sisters that's coming out of America, they're scattered into London or whatever. They're coming out and they're actually moving to Africa, like my brother just stated, that we were going to be gathered into the countries of Africa before we actually went back into our land. I'm seeing people there going to South Africa. Some people are going to Ghana. Some people are going to Kenya. Some people are going to Tanzania. And some are even coming here to the Sinai Peninsula. So that's my take on it. And then after those heathens, like you said, you made a good point about the vaccinations and things like that, because that land is going to be cleared soon. And once that land is cleared out, then you would have the inhabitants of Jerusalem return back. And once they return back, then we would start making calls, to these nations of the earth to come gather our people from all four corners of the earth. And this will all be the Most High's doing. So that's just my take on it. I know everybody has different takes, but that's my take on it.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead, Dave.
No, I was after you.
Now, the book did state that we will all see eye to eye when the Most High brings again Zion. Now, my question would be this. We have seen these dust-ups, like I've said before. What indicators do you all see that makes it plain that this is somehow different from what we have seen in times past? Certainly, the Demona movement that's currently sitting in the land has made many agreements with the government. For example, they have joined the IDF, etc. And we were not to make any covenants with our enemies that were in the land at any time. So they have pretty much gone there and have sought to assimilate. They have not decided to or uphold the standard like they were supposed to. So they're entirely different there. My question to you all would be this. Based on what we're seeing right now, how much of what we're seeing is in direct correlation to what has happened with the Demona movement, i.e. the Israeli government making plans to expel a certain amount of them within the next 60 days? How much does that decision have a bearing on what we're seeing currently in the land?
Well, yeah, again, I talked about a little bit about this before you turned up. I look in the book of Jasher. I know you're not one for the book of Jasher or anything, but I look in the book of Jasher, I believe, and it said about how some Israelites left Egypt before, Moses led them out. And they end up getting destroyed, and only one of them came back to tell the rest that we shouldn't have left. The people are going to the land now, in my view. They've done it of their own accord. It wasn't time yet. The Most High, is working on his calendar, and we're to go by what he says. We're not meant to be going over to the land and buying the land off our enemies.